So we're going to continue our series of talks about establishing foundations within your world. And our talk today will continue further from where we spoke last week about spiritual bypassing. So in essence, last week was about avoidance, and today's talk will be about engagement. And there's going to be two sides to this talk today, split by the healing list. Now, when I say split, there is not advancement or hierarchy or achievement when you move from, the first talk or the second talk. You may be incredibly advanced, whatever that means, and still fall back to the exercises we are using to describe the initial phrases. So do not think you must be there and act from there when you need to act from somewhere else. It is important that you recognize and be honest and truthful with yourself. Today I need this. Perhaps tomorrow will be different. So the title for today's talk will be Sacred Boundaries. This is the establishment of boundaries with your interaction with the world. And the first part of our talk, before the healing list, will be about the establishment of boundaries. Why, how, and what is the underlying reason for these boundaries? And the second part of the talk was the alternative. So let us begin. One should see boundaries not as a wall, but as a gate. A wall is intended to keep everyone out. But a gate is what you allow in according to how you feel and the quality of oneself. So if you were the cleaner, for example, of a sacred temple, you would not allow people with muddy feet into that shrine. Yet you allow people into your inner shrine, the sense of self, the sense of who you are, your spiritual life, your spiritual well-being. And when you let those people with muddy feet into your internal world, then this can build all sorts of difficulties and reactions. It can build up resentments. And in fact, this is a sign you've allowed somebody to cross your boundary, that resentment is starting to build. You may also see dread when you are about to interact, or you see their name written on paper. You may also notice that there is a drain of energy prior to even meeting this person, or perhaps during the meeting, or even after the meeting. If somebody's crossed your boundary, you may even get a sense of being a victim. A victim when you think of the meeting, during the meeting, and even after the meeting. And you may even see this through complaining and constantly complaining about things being wrong in the world. This is wrong, that's wrong, this goes wrong, this is a problem, etc. And it would be quite advantageous to you to create some kind of boundary for yourself. The boundary, in effect, gives an establishment of who you are and the other side of that boundary, where the world begins. And the establishment of who you are within that boundary gives you some definition, maybe a form, maybe a little bit of structure, both physically and also mentally, emotionally perhaps. And this then gives you a safe place to work from. It's an establishment of one's self. And in that establishment with oneself, perhaps then you can interact with your version of spirit or the divine. So you establish your ground. It's very much a first and second chakra issue. Arriving and establishing let's say a fort or a building of where you feel safe within. And now, this is an important point to think about. Now you have this establishment of oneself with a gate that you can allow those of truth and honesty to come through, and those with muddy feet to stay out. The establishment of your boundary is for your benefit, and other people's reaction to your boundary is not your concern. You say, this is what I expect, and everything else is their problem. So it's rather like the ocean has a shore. The shore says, that is you, and this is me. And the waves may crash upon the shore, but the shore remains the shore. And you say, this is where I am. So the establishment of these boundaries can be rather difficult to begin with. They take your reinforcement. They take your constantly thinking about them and choosing them first. You see that these boundaries are based in perhaps 2 or 3 different beliefs. What it's like to be spiritual and love, and what is honesty. Now, in all talks and groups that we interact with, I always say, be honest, be truthful. And truth is a boundary, but without there being a wall at all. And truth says, I can be here, I can honour this, I can honour all those feelings I mentioned, the ability of resentment, of drainage, of somebody stepping across your line, the feeling of being a victim. So honesty is first about honesty with yourself. Perhaps you notice some of the signs of people acting and reacting, or your reaction to them. When you have a knot in your stomach, the butterflies, maybe a tension in your shoulders, maybe the dread of what's coming. All of these say that there is a need of boundary. And this all gets very confused with what people think they must be. If I am spiritual, I must be open all of the time. I must never show anger. I must allow people to walk all over me and to be a Zen doormat. Let people trample their muddy feet all over my nice clean floor. Yet even those great sages perhaps had times when they had to say hard truths to people. But they also needed time away and alone, in meditation or reflection, contemplation or solitude. It's written throughout all of their work. You too may need those times of solitude, inner reflection, of establishment of self. Say, that is my boundary, please do not cross it. So how do you reinforce this boundary then? Perhaps you could use the pause method. I'll respond to you later. But you must first find your establishment of you. Perhaps you say, what you are asking of me means I have to sacrifice myself for your needs. Let me think to see if I have capability of doing that. Perhaps you say, I am not available to be misunderstood today. Can we talk about this tomorrow? I'm feeling very tired. I need my solitude. Perhaps you want to be a little harder, and maybe you say, what we're talking about is totally out of alignment with what is important to me. I am not willing to go there. Now, of course, depending on your situation, you may use gentle or perhaps middle or firm responses to the person. You see, in essence, what we said last week, if you find yourself in the depth of water, in the deep end of a swimming pool, you do not pretend the water does not exist, but you learn to cope with where you are and know that you will be safe despite the water. So the building of boundaries perhaps is a little alien to perhaps your spiritual beliefs, where you think you should be the doormat, and you should not feel anger or resentment or frustration, or you must allow everybody in all of the time. So your belief of your spiritualness, what it means, is perhaps an issue at this stage. So if anger does arise, well, anger is there. This is the act of awareness and watching. Frustration has arisen. Resentment has made its appearance. If you are not observing, then resentment, anger, fear may all come to the surface. And your reaction may be a yes when you mean no, or a no when you mean yes. So you need truth and you need awareness. But the truth based in truth, not based in expectation. A truth based in, I am feeling this. That is my sign. That is the deep end of the water. Anger has risen. We can look into why that anger is there at some other stage, but it is here. You do not ignore it. You do not pretend it does not exist because you are the expression of purity, or are hoping to be. So you do not come to your position of peace and love by pretending the world does not exist, but rather acknowledging your place in the world and then moving through it based in that firm foundation. It is the establishment of the third chakra, the sense of self. This is who I am. Maybe today, maybe this moment. Maybe this is the feeling that has arisen in me. So you establish your boundaries. You reinforce your boundaries for your own benefit. And remember, you are not responsible for the other person's reaction to your boundary. That is their problem. That is the ocean making a wave onto the shore. So do not allow muddy feet into your temple. Do not allow poor behavior to rock your boat. Do not need to accept it. Be honest and be true to oneself. And from that, we can work with what is true within. You see, there's been many a person that sat in front of myself and said, I am spiritual. Then why are you feeling this anger? And in essence, they say, I am pretending it does not exist. Or you are the spiritual person that only wears white. Maybe some beads, maybe your hair is the appropriate style. Yet, underneath all of that, you are quite egotistical and seeking some spiritual ground that will advance your cause. You see, this is a very important phrase I'm about to use. It explains both boundaries, false expression, why some people think they know it all and rush to teach, and yet they have no understanding in truth. This work of spirituality is not about expressing externally, but it is about crumbling inwards. Perhaps we'll end this first part of the talk there. May I have the healing list of names now, please?
Yes, thank you. Sharon and Kripa, Daniel, Jane, Teresa, Jane, Angela, Passio, Fabio, Mitsuki, Munahide, Keiko, Ann Joel, Joy, Lucy Loveridge, Ben Wilden, Kathleen and Ann, Chris and Howard, Stephen, Matthew, Eric, Peter, Mirabai, Louise, John, Marianne, Jody, Jill, Katie, Ed, Don, Jules, Vince and Irene, Joe and Xander, Ashley, Taylor and Monica, Jane, Rick, Kate, Lorna, Amrita and Cindy N, Lulu, Craig, Harini, Mary, Geraldine, John, Jack Broughton, and Christopher and family, Kadi, Venkat, Srinivas, Henri, Philip, Sharon, Amanda and Bob, Cynthia, Linda, Eduardo, Claudio, Amanda Kay, Alex, Brett, Karen, Ross, Lily, Aiden, Abby, Kathy, Cecile, Max, David, Ricky, Barbara, Sheila, Tracy, Karen, Carrie, Helen, Harini, Benedict, Joe, Nicole, Sharon, Bill, Noah, Sarah, Mark, Georgia, June, Brevin and Jody, Robert D, Jean D, David A, Sue S, Chris P, Joanne, Audrey and Deborah, Susanna, Chris and Sonny, Jean, Jesse and Jerry, Spencer and Daniel, and may all be happy. Thank you.
There is a danger in me giving this second half of the talk. And the danger is you may feel like that this is the advancement and you should be at an advanced level. And perhaps you've studied for 10 years and you should be there, but you know you are not. This advanced or deeper level is a further reflection that you will work through and toward. As I said, you may be 100 years into your work of being spiritual, but still need to go back to the stepping stone number one. Now this may occur occasionally or frequently. If there's truth and honesty, then of course one will gladly go back to what is required. So work from where your truth is and allow the crumbling inwards to take place naturally. There's no need to try to force. Yet what I am about to say, you may see in truth. There's no hierarchy here. There is no supreme level or advanced student. It is rather, sometimes you're here and sometimes you are there. It is a reflection of your honesty and truth. You see this, not out of the false desire or the expectation of where you should be. At times you need to work here and at times there. So with our first part of the talk today, we spoke about the establishment of boundaries, sacred boundaries, and said, this is the edge of my temple, this is the shore, this is what is important, this is my establishment of self. And in groups, I've already shown you how to be at this deeper level in truth. And you may be practicing this deeper level while still working in the other levels. When you have an establishment of one's self, when you have I am here, rather than I am fragilely appearing, you say I am here. And the establishment of you is based in that truth of your expression of your present moment awareness. And when you have this present moment awareness, the need for boundaries falls away. The whole world then is open to you. There's no edge of the temple. There's no wall, there's no comfort zone. There is all the same expression. And in the second half of the bypassing talk, when we spoke about the way to do action, it is the similar response to this as well. And what one does is establishes oneself in the essence of one's being. You find that still point, the center of the wheel, the true self, the truth, the spirit, the soul, the God that is within you. And you are so established in this area that even when the traumas and struggle arrive, they are looked at from that very center of your awareness. You've seen yourself as pure awareness and the ability to watch, and therefore the struggles of this person or that person is something you watch, and their waves breaking on that shore is the play. And of course there will be times, if you're not purely established, that you'll be pulled back into the play. perhaps a certain person at a certain time, or a particular situation you must work with. Must mean the re-establishment of borders and boundaries. But to begin with, those borders and boundaries establish you in you. And once you have faith of being in that center point, and you look out into the world, and you watch, and you don't take part in it in the same way. Struggles, traumas arrive, but you deal with them from what is stable, what is unmoving, what is true, what is essence. And they affect you not. If they affect you, you must look. Maybe there's a boundary required, and maybe there is not. So are you triggered? If you are triggered, perhaps there is something amiss, and you are not in the land of untriggered or untriggerable. You are purely working from a different place. So finding your very essence of you and finding that point of view means that you become a sense of establishment. Other people may come to you, and they may come with their traumas and problems, or they come to you with their agitations, and you'll find that just your presence seems to put things into perspective for them, or even remove or put them in the right place. Not because of any effort, but just because you are there. So there's a feeling of peace and stability within a turbulent ocean. So you do not get to this essence of oneself and remain there. One can view it for a while, but you can't remain there until you've gone through the world of boundaries. Once you are then established, then you may let the boundaries down. So for the first part of your work may be building up, and the second part knocking down. And it's only then when you can express in the world, should you truly be with others and guide them. If you are guiding people from the need of boundaries, ego, safety, protection, then that is what you'll teach, or you'll share, or you'll reflect to others. If you are established in the essence of oneself, then there is no teaching. What I mean is the teaching and words can be there, but the truth of essence is primary. Let me change these words a little. If you are established in peace, then the outside world can be as turbulent as it wants to be. If I need to protect myself from my turbulent world, to retain my peace, then I share boundaries and walls and structure, important to begin with, but only behind those walls do you find the sense of self? So let us say you are facing a difficult situation. Perhaps your work friend or your family member is angry towards you. One day you may need boundaries and say, "Your wave will not disturb my shore. I pick my peace. If you do not like it, that is your choice." If you are established in your peace, you can look into the lion's mouth and be firm to know that cannot harm me. So you may decide today to establish boundaries starting right now, or perhaps in the morning when you wake. This is my boundary. Your reaction to it is not my concern. But if you do that, you must do the work of inward looking as well. No point staying nicely within the fort and ignoring the rest of the world. It is only establishment in oneself that one then can truly move out into the world. From the solar plexus chakra into the heart chakra. The heart chakra, establishing oneself in self-love. Does this not sound like boundaries? But the two heart chakras means the establishment of oneself, self-love. The second chakra of the heart is then the allowing of the boundaries to fall and the love to flow outwards as much as it wants. And the expression, the throat chakra, then is established in this essence of you. It's not the other way around. And then if you want to jump to the crown chakra and say, I am the purity, or I am, it is not because you've ignored all the other needs or chakras, but rather they have been folded inwards. If you like, that is the Kundalini arising. It'll only ever be temporary if you have certain structures in the way. So today's talk on engagement, how you engaged with the world, still points us on our inward journey. But an inward journey based on truth, not based on I must be spiritual and therefore I must wear white, I must love everybody, I must say your behavior is just your behavior, I must heal it. It is my fault that you are in pain, I must heal that. My fault you are struggling with life. And it's not true. Be grounded in you. Boundaries if needed. No boundaries when the crumbling inwards has taken place. Do not expect that you will not come back to level 1 even when you're on number 99. It will happen, but less and less frequently. Sometimes you need to learn from the very beginning one more time. Not because you do not know, but because you can see the truth in it. So our talk, I suppose, then, is about truth and honesty. There is no shame, no guilt, and I infer none. Rather, I say, be here now. Be love now. But a love based in the truth of love, not in the way you think you should be. That is just another mask that you wear to cover your fears and your beliefs. You only find spirit through your humanity. It's not separate from humanity. It is through your humanity you find your spirit. It is through your fear you find your stability. It is through your doubt that you find your love. So if you need your boundaries, you need your boundaries, and you can establish them with our love. But always follow the inward journey and know you are safe and you are loved. The foundations of one's spiritual work. May God bless you all. There you go. Okay, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Alrighty. Take care, everybody. See ya. Bye.
Thanks, Mark. Bye.